bold and hear what I will tell. That's right, my dear. Come right up here. Relax in every limbo. Sit on the ground or stand around with eyes and ears akimbo. Now, I'll confess, in case you guess, I'm not a real town crier. The tales I tell are not quite, well, you could call me a storyteller. I'll let you pick your story. Quick. Now, do I hear your voice?
Yes, you do.
Well, but for you, let's have a housewife's choice. Give it to Jen, and I will then procrastinate. That means talk.
Now, let me see what shall I know Jack and the Beanstalk.
You want to prove? Then please don't move, but just sit still and quiet. Watch the stage. I'll find the page. Ah, here it is. Let's try it. Now, once upon a time, young John, who's better known as Jack, lived with his mum, poor widow Plum, in this disgraceful shack.
Naughty, dear boy, it would give me joy to pour another cup.
Good hack at her. Excuse me, sir, this woman's much to offer.
No, thank you, Doctor. Sometime later, perhaps Scottish.
He said before, these folks were poor.
I think they're rich.
Yes, very.
This story is a blooming swig.
I think you must complain. You are not here to interfere. Now, will you begin again? 40, dear boy.
Town crier, ahoy. They're doing it all wrong.
Have patience then. Brokers members shortly below.
Care to drag a Turkish fag?
Why, yes, I do. Surely you can have one.
No, I'll smoke a cigar.
I still don't see.
Please, patience, please. Ah, here they are now.
Widow Plum?
I fear we've come to take you are not so fast. We do not our state.
Oh no, to be steady by your bank, you are just around £10,000, 16 and 4 pence.
Thank you.
Jack, I'll pay it back. I really meant no harm. I thought I'd buy some things and try to run a poultry farm.
4,000 chicks at 7 and 6. That's 1,500 smackers. Grit 1 ton, hen, 10 bob a head. I think I'm going crackers. 1 load of bran, 1 diesel van. I don't know where we'll park it. Ah, this is it. 1 super kit. The do-it-yourself egg market. In wooden crate with own brass plate and corrugated iron. 1 brood of lamp, 1 rubber stamp, complete with little lion. But mother dear, there's more in here. Oh, surely not again. The music shop.
Now, please stop. It's easy to explain. My old Welsh harp was getting sharp and kept on breaking strings. So I just bought another sort and 1 or 2 odd things.
Just 1 or 2? I wonder who will pay this bill for us. 1 Bechstein Grand, 10 trombones, and 1 Stradivarius, so now we're broke.
The young man spoke the truth, just as I said. He's really must. In fact, it's just nowhere to lay his head. No bed, no chairs left in there. He hasn't got a bean.
Now cease your song, that's where you're wrong. I'll show you what I mean. Come in, please, miss.
I know. Who's this? She really is a stunner. Tell me, sweet name. What's your name?
They call me Scarlet Runner. Though I can twine like any vine, fastest being on sticks. No Harry Coe could ever show more acrobatic tricks.
Well, what do you propose to do to ease the situation? These people poor require more than generous donation.
Leave it to me, and you shall see. These broke fellows Scotch. They'll kind of draw the curtains for. I like to work and watch.
Oh, what a shame.
I'd be the same. I'd like to see her working.
She's ready now, I know it. How? I saw the curtain jerking. You've changed the plot. This story's not the one that I expected.
Oh, that's unkind. I'm sure you'll find a beanstalk in your elected.
There's far too much of eggs and such. It isn't in the book.
Here,
Yes, quite.
you tell it right, or else.
They're ready. Look. Here, lifted high above the sky, 10,000 miles or more. you now behold the castle cone of giant Blunderball. The giant spout is in the house. But never when, through the door, across the floor, a beanstalk starts to coil.
Please have something. Said yesterday. But beanstalk now, then. Away with you. Go on now, shrew. I've got no time to linger.
But hark, a yell, a cry of...
Help! You're standing on my finger.
I used to sound. Down near the ground.
Get off, you great big goof.
There's something there. Why, I declare. It's all done.
No, ma'am, that's not a doll you've got. That's Master Jackie Plum.
Well, who'd have thought that I'd have caught a little man today? But Blunderbore will rage and roar. You'd better run away. Oh no, I hear him coming near. You'd better hide and wait. Where can you go? Ah, yes, I know. Throw underneath the grate.
Oh, now beware. Yourselves prepare that which you defind. I hear the tread with footstep tread of Blunderbore, the giant.
3, 5, 4, 5. I smell the blue.
Now, don't be rude. There's no one here but me.
Oh no, I tell you I can smell at least another 2. I'll track the quarry. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I frighten you?
Not at all. I'm very, very pleased to meet you.
Well, we'll see. I'll have my tea. And then perhaps I'll eat you. Aha, and who is sneezing in my fender? I'll have him roast on buttered toast and cooked until he's tender. I'll throw my shoes. No, a bruise perhaps might spoil the flavour. So hand me just my feather duster. Dear, out you
I know you'll say this curtain may upset dramatic tension, eventually. But is it fair to show or bear one-sided intervention? Our actors all are fairly tall, of equal shape and size, and therefore we must try and see with telescopic eyes. So now, for you to get a view of both sides of this tangle, the fireplace I'll magnify and show it from Jack's angle. All ready, John?
Yes, carry on.
Oh, do be careful, please.
Silence in court. I think we ought to go. Go from where you see.
Aha, and who is sneezing in my fender? I'll have him roast on buttered toast and cooked until he's tender. I'll throw my shoes. No, a bruise. Perhaps might spoil the flavour. So hand me just that feather duster. Out you come, young shaver.
Judges right. Judges right. Now he escapes. Nimble and deft, he judges left.
Come out, you jackanapes.
But then, 2 blows upon the nose, the giant falls in. He staggers back.
I'm not for
Jack! Fear nothing. I will save him. Stay quiet, dear, for I am here. Sleeping draught of power, so strong that he will sleeping be in less than half an hour. I'll now resume my former legume, that's French for runner bee. We will get this monster yet. Quick, curtain!
giant's kitchen, I will tell.
Excuse me, sir, but is it necessary?
Yes, we cannot change our menu.
Well, I for one don't see the fun of being on his menu.
Oh, please not be calm. He'll do no harm if you don't make him wild.
I don't recall this tale at all. It's not fit for a child.
You may be right. Hold on tight, together in a cluster. For thrill on thrill, the giant's still at work with feather duster.
Now out you come, you little scum, from underneath that ledge. Ah, got you, I think. Well, strike me pink. It isn't meat, it's veg. A runner bean so fresh and green. I wonder if it's ready. And mother too, here's one for you.
Oh dear, I feel unsteady.
Oh. Go fetch me then my magic hen that lays the golden eggs. To help her lay, let music play. My magic harp on legs.
Boing, 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 boing.
Enough. Ah, that's the stuff. Now here's this week's housekeeping. Well, take it by. Upon my life, the silly woman's sleeping. And now for you, here's what we'll do. To make the time go fast, we'll have some fun. I'll eat the one who fills his card up last. Are you ready? Eyes down. That's 7. Legs 11. 34.
By jingo, you've heard our bet of Russian roulette. Well, this is Russian bingo.
Anyway, look. It's 99. Or is it 66? Oh, I think it might. Oh, well, good night.
Sleep sound, little chicks. Now come on, Jack, we'll hurry back. You too, Magic Harper. We'll take then hen, reel then, speed and silence. Scamper.
But as they're going,
What's that I thought I heard? My harp. Oh, grief, some wicked thief has pinched my magic bird. If I knew who, 'twas one of you. Now, which one was it? Speak. I'll get my stick.
The curtain, quick!
that was a narrow squeak.
I want no more of Blunderbore.
Come on, let's run away.
Yes,
We will.
Please don't go. I'm going to show the end of the play. Jack and the Beanstalk, final scene. We're in that house so grand, where Jack's poor mum, the widow Plum, would sit, or rather stand. She cannot sit, for not a bit of furniture in sight. Since that day when the broker's men, they moved her not cryocraft, it's Heppelwife. Curtain, please.
I'm feeling fine.
You see that she's alone, but not that alone.
I'm feeling fine. It's time to dine. Water, anyone? Served as a meal with apple peel. It tastes like avocado.
We'll take your word.
It's quite absurd. This is sheer bravado.
Hello there, Mum. Back home I've come, and look just what I've brought.
My darling boy, my pride and joy, the very things I sought. A lame hen, worth £1 then. A harp, 5 guineas say. I'll run and pop them at the shop. Tonight we eat. Hooray!
Pop them big blood. Nip down the road and fetch those brokers men. Now how get going? Don't speak within a week, you'll buy back all you've sold. Ah, well done, chick. You've done the trick. Look here, it's solid gold.
Well, what's to do?
Now come here, you. We'd like to pay our bill. This gold our debt will surely settle.
Yes, sir, surely will.
Half what I can always buy sweet music off the peg. Poetry that pays because it lays an 18-carat egg. But who's been helping you in this affair, Sophie?
Miss Runnerby, my fairy queen.
My dear, we're very brave.
Oh, Mother, she has been to me, and now I'm most reliant.
I really hate to stop you, mate, but don't forget the giant. With fearful frown, he's climbing down.
You just leave him to me.
She takes an axe. Eventually, yes. Gives six many cracks. Timber! All right, baby.
More tea, dear boy. That would give me joy.
But that's where we came in. So curtain now. That was how the plums got in the tin. Let's just draw the curtain for the final grand parade. That's the lot.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, yes, it is. But you'll be glad to see that since their fall, they're not so tall, but just like you and me. And now, to all within this hall, we give a bow to life. We meet again, and so till then, we wish you all good night.
That's your turn. No kids in?
Yes, sir.
No. Come on, clever content. Here.
You're on first. Come on. Oh. You got a toffee for him?
Oh, you didn't know about that. It's easy to. So you have to turn then from where you shout right, get up here and you're also a judge. Right, when you're all singing, we did this last night with kids and it went great. But half of them got wet through as well because the half that don't sing as loud as the other half get soaking. That includes little Geordie fella in John because he's a little bit, you know, he doesn't understand this Yorkshire language, so when you're singing as well. Right? And the three dwarfs from Knaresborough. Oh, down there it's out of it. Right, so we do all MacDonald, and this half is my half, right? And that half is this E-I-E-I-O, ready? Oh, MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O, and on that farm he had a cow, E-I-E-I-O, with a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there, here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo-moo. Oh, MacDonald had a farm, sharp sang the loudest. Again! Rubbish! Many happy returns early, 79 today. Can you
There's a
just
special
wear
prize
out
for Mabel.
You're 79 years young. Today, sorry. Who's that? For Mabel. Ron sends you his love.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Is anybody here? Is anybody here? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That's better. Now, welcome. Now, I must tell you now that this is an all-star cast, and we've all just been signed up for touring. When you see the rest of the show, you'll know why. But no expense spared tonight to bring you the greatest talent that Middlesmore, Lofthouse and surrounding neighbourhoods and areas can bring you. Again, when you see it, you know why, but that's not true. I'm here just to fill in and also to tell one or two rotten jokes, which hopefully you'll laugh or groan at, depending how you see it. Just one or two to get you going. Doctor, doctor, have you got anything for my liver? How about some onions? Doctor, doctor, I'm terribly worried. I keep seeing pink striped crocodiles every time I try to get some sleep. Well, have you seen a psychiatrist? No, only pink striped crocodiles. Doctor, doctor, I've swallowed a spoon. Well, sit down now and don't stir yourself. Treat for you now. I'm sure all of us here have enjoyed watching many Disney films and singing along to famous Disney songs. Well, we've got a cast now from the ages of 4 to 26 to bring you some of the very best Disney songs in Disney Time!
Request is to
you again, isn't it?
Indeed it is, George. And in a packed programme tonight, I shall be telling you about Di Evans, the inventor of the Welsh boomerang. It doesn't come back, it just keeps singing about coming back.
And I shall be telling you about the singer who yesterday put on a happy face, buttoned up his overcoat, pulled on his fancy pants, and zippered up his doodah.
Later in the programme, I shall be interviewing the Dublin businessman who's just opened the city's first while you wait ear-piercing service.
But first, an urgent police message. You are warned to be on the lookout for Joseph Gomez, a Spaniard last heard of living in Harrogate, whose mother was a nun in Barcelona. A one-time flautist with a symphony orchestra, he is wanted for looting in Haifa, where he worked on a farm. The local police urge people to look out for a highfalutin, fluting-tooting son of a nun. Part-time ploughboy Joe.
And now some news from St Chad's Church. The marriage took place yesterday of Sebastian Baldwin Jones and Himone Battersby Gore. It was the church's first double-barrelled shotgun wedding.
And now for a more heavenly story.
The equivalent of Sir Peter in the communist heaven stopped a new arrival and asked, "What are your merits for entering here?"
Well, answered the man, on earth my father was a wealthy lawyer, my mother came from a family of rabbis, and I was a great painter who married the daughter of a baron.
What, shouted the Guardian, and on these merits you want to enter the communist heaven?
Well, answered the man, maybe my name will help. It is Karl Marx.
A Mr. Smith and a Reverend Smith lived in the same street. Mr. Smith left on a visit to India a few days before the Reverend Smith died, and on his arrival in India sent his wife a telegram, which by mistake was delivered to the Reverend Smith's widow. It read, "Arrive safely, heat terrific."
Then there was a preacher telling his flock about the biblical character who had 1,000 wives and concubines and fed them all on ambrosia. Never mind what he fed them on, piped to the man of the old congregation. What did he eat?
Now some news of next year's Harvest Supper.
We shall be featuring a lady who likes Nicholas Parsons.
And a parson who likes Nicholas ladies.
We're also to present a fan of Terry Wogan.
But so far we've been unable to find one.
On the same subject, a man appeared in Paterbridge Court charged with interfering with the television broadcasting system. He blacked out the Wogan show from 7 to 8 p.m. last week. The magistrate dismissed the case, saying that he had already carried out 60 minutes of community service.
Trump appeared at the same court. The constable explained the man was to be seen staggering along the street and hitting his head on a lamppost. Sorry, he was heard to mutter. Further on, he hit another and muttered the same excuse. When it happened a third time, he collapsed against a wall and said, "I'll let this procession pass, or I'm going to hurt a lot of people."
Two hikers were walking through the woods in the Rocky Mountains when they were suddenly confronted by a giant bear. Immediately, one of the men pulled out a pair of running shoes and began putting them on.
"What are you doing?" cried the companion. "We can't outrun that bear, even in jogging shoes."
Who cares about the bear, the first hiker said, tying his shoes. All I have to worry about is outrunning you.
Students on a geology field trip stumbled across a large fossil. One lecturer described it as a fossilized wood, while another insisted it was part of a dinosaur's leg bone. Argument continued, and not being sure what to put in the book, they ended up by saying, "A dinosaur's wooden leg."
Similar students at the university, where several dogs lived on the campus, were attending a lecture when a motley hound ambled in and proceeded barking loudly at the professor. Turning to the dog, he said, "If you're going to stay for the lecture, you'll have to behave yourself like the rest of the students." To the delight of the class, the dog simply curled up and went to sleep.
An elderly farmer was brought into the hospital because he appeared lost and confused. Attempting to assess his mental state, the doctor asked, "If you have 100 sheep in a field and 7 escape, How many are left? None, said the farmer. No, said the doctor, the answer is 93. Nay, the old farmer said, thou knows now about sheep. When one of them dumb animals decides to go, they all go.
The same farmer sent his young and experienced land girl muck carting. He explained the horse was usually quiet, but didn't like the rain across its back. On return, the girl said they'd had a couple of showers, but the horse had been okay, as she had had a mac over it all the time.
Life is really strange, sighed the smallholder. My son left the village to go to college in the city because he said he didn't understand the country. His drinking friend asked, did he do well? What did he become? The answer, the Minister of Agriculture.
A local farmer was brought in to testify in a slander suit involving two neighbours. Tell me the exact conversation, asked the lawyer. I can't remember it all, answered the witness, except each was calling the other what they both is.
Tourists in the valley seeking a hotel could only find two rather run-down ones, and asked a local which one he recommended. It makes no difference really. If you stay in one, you'll wish you were in the other.
Staying in one of these hotels was a pregnant lady with a 4-year-old son, who saw his mother clutch his stomach and sigh heavily. Being alarmed, he asked what was wrong. Your baby brother is kicking, she explained. He's probably getting restless, the child said. Why don't you swallow a toy for him to play with?
Did you hear about the baby ear of corn who asked its mother how he got here? The stork brought you, replied the mother.
And so it's au revoir from me.
And it's au revoir from him. Some groaners. Now let's have a big groan. 1, 2, 3. Right, here we are then. Now we think about these ones. Is a drunken ghost a methylated spirit? Is a budget a budgerigar? What do you get if a cat swallows a ball of wool? Mittens, of course. What is the opposite of a cockle-doodle-doo? Cockle-doodle-don't. Where do flies go in winter time? To the glassworks to be turned into blue bottles. And why do cows wear bells? Because their horns don't work. And now, flown in especially for this short run here, from Las Vegas, we have the tap dance from the Desert Song. flea, come up and see my itchings. Two fleas leaving the theatre. The male flea turns to the female flea and says, shall we walk or take that dog? Why do bears hum? Because they don't know the words. And what has got 12 legs, 1 eye and 4 tails? 3 blind mice and half a kipper. Right. Put your hands together now, please, for the ugly bugs with joy. Anyway, my mother. Sorry, it's me again. Right, now, the next act is, no words, it's a mime. And it's one you've got to watch very carefully, because the mime will tell you all about the story. But just to get you all sort of keyed up for that, because it takes a lot of concentration, did you hear about the sun-scorched vampire last seen crawling across the desert crying, blood, blood? I was there all night, so I know you don't want me to. Where do you weigh whales? At the whaleway station, of course. And then did you hear about the lion, the man-eating lion, who was killed in one of those ancient tussles with the slaves? And the reason it was killed is because that day he'd forgotten to wear his after-slave potion. Right, now we have a mime entitled This Little Light of Mine. Hello, George. It's nice to see you again, and so soon.
Yes, it seems only a few minutes ago.
I forgot to tell you that before, it's a sad day at Barnum Circus today. Billy Buzz, the human fly, committed insecticide.
A very young and nervous barrister, Mr. Green, was making his first plea of mitigation for a defendant.
My lord, he said, my unfortunate client, and then he dried up. He tried a second and a third time, getting no further than my unfortunate client.
At this point, the judge leant forward with a smile of encouragement and said, "Go on, Mr. Green. So far, the court is in entire agreement with you."
The barrister's wife, Mrs. Green, came home from work very upset and explained that she had met an unpleasant man in town and that she had known immediately he would be a troublemaker. He had insulted her, used bad language, and even threatened her. When asked how she had met the man, she said, "Oh, I hit him with my car."
A little old lady on a visit to the Kremlin asked Comrade Gorbachev if it was a politician or a scientist who had invented communism. "A politician," replied the Russian leader. "I thought so," the old lady said. "A scientist would have tried it on mice first."
A local policeman, Peter Plod, stopped to ask a woman standing helplessly by her vehicle in the pouring rain what was wrong. She said that she had a flat tyre, changed the wheels, but couldn't lower the jack. He offered to help and got down in the mud to find the fault. "Please lower it gently," she said. "My husband's asleep in the back."
In the final stages of Elias' contest, the first finalist said, "I am very rich. I have 8 TV stations, 20 radio stations, 18 fleets of aeroplanes, a fleet of yachts, plus oil companies and numerous other international businesses." "Very well," said the judge, turning to the other competitor, "your turn." He simply said, "I'm his boss."
At the cattle auction in Paisley, the proceedings were halted, and the auctioneer announced that a man had lost his wallet containing £1,000 and offered £200 for its return. Immediately a voice from the rear shouted, "210!
The boss was asking his debt collector how the idea of taking a gorilla with him on his calls had worked out. The collector said, "I'd say good and bad. I got more money today than I do in a week normally." "So what's bad about that?" said the boss. "Well, the problem now is I can't get the money from the gorilla."
How did you lose your job at the dress shop?" the woman asked her friend. "Well, after trying on about 25 dresses, the customer said to me, 'I think I'd look nicer in something flowing.' And I suggested the river."
An old miser called his doctor, vicar and solicitor to his deathbed.
"They say you can't take it with you," the dying man said, and gave each an envelope containing £15,000. He asked them to take their envelope to the funeral, and when they lowered the coffin into the ground, to toss them into the grave.
At the funeral, each man tossed in his envelope. On the way home, the doctor confessed that he had taken £5,000 out and put only £10,000 in the grave, as he needed the cash to complete a new surgery.
The vicar confessed that he'd put £10,000 into the church repair fund and only put £5,000 into the grave.
The solicitor expressed that he was ashamed of their actions, saying that he had put in the grave a cheque for the full amount.
An American and an Englishman were waiting in a hotel. After some time, the American suggested that they had a drink. "Tried it once and didn't like it," the Englishman answered gruffly. The next suggestion was a game of bridge. Again the reply, "Tried it once and didn't like it." "How about billiards?" The same response. Just then a young boy arrived and the Englishman introduced him as his son. "You're only one, I suppose," said the American.
A businessman tried unsuccessfully to collect a bill from one of his customers. Finally, he sent a picture of his little daughter and wrote on it, "This is the reason why I need the money so urgently." A letter came back by return with a picture of a voluptuous blonde in a bikini, under which was written, "And this is the reason why I can't pay."
The Football League has announced a new scheme for redesigning clubs' badges, giving them an appropriate symbol. Oxford United have agreed to feature an ox, Swansea a swan, Manchester United, a man.
Luton have refused to join the scheme.
Blackpool psychologist who specialises in reading between the lines was seriously injured earlier today. He was run over by a tram.
The Irish government is advertising the post of chairperson for the newly formed Equal Opportunities Commission. The proposed salary is £20,000 per annum.
For a man, and £15,000 for a woman.
When the keeper was asked why did the parrot wear a raincoat, he replied he wanted to be polyunsaturated.
Here is another item of news.
An injured horse was found on Paddock Hill early this afternoon.
It was taken into the nearby hospital where a spokesman described it as being in a stable condition.
A recent report from the local high school has shown that a third of the pupils can't write, a third of them can't read, and the other 3/4 can't add up.
To help these weaknesses, the substitute teacher set the children a problem. John has 5 oranges, Peter gives him 11, and John gives 7 to Joseph. How many has John left? Faced with this complicated problem, the class came to a standstill. Finally, one braver pupil said, "Our teacher does our maths with apples."
And now for the Harvest Supper competition. Simply write the answer on the back of any member of the choir and hand it to the vicar. The question is, what is the difference between roast pork and pea soup?
That's easy. Anybody can roast pork.
And so it's good night for me.
Good night to you. Anyway, on Tuesday a man fell into a barrel of beer in the Crown and came to a bitter end. And a dumpling was said today to be in a bit of a stew. Now, without much of ado, I bring you Catherine and Carolyn, who have choreographed their own dance based on the music Annie.
Without a smile,
item is something that is very nice to hear, and it's a great gift to be able to write it. It's some poetry, and it's poems that Josie has written herself, and I know that you're going to enjoy them. So I introduce to you Josie.
A farmer's wife view of the lambing. Today I had lambs in my kitchen. They were soaked to the skin, frozen through. I tried very hard to revive them. Well, what else would a farmer's wife do? There's 2 drying out in the Aga. There's 3 in a box on the floor, under a little heat from the pig lamp, slung over a hook on the door. I pull on my old outdoor clothing and pull on me wellies again to face the delightful spring weather, the bitter cold winds and the rain. The fields will not take all this water, yet here it is raining so hard. We squelch round in mud right up to our knees, and it's just like a lake in the yard. My poor hens will not leave the hen house. They're supposed to be free range, you know. They just sit on their perch looking fed up. Well, they've just no incentive to go. We anxiously watch daily forecasts to see what the weather will be. But it's always the same, endless rain and no hint of sunshine to see. Townspeople think farming is easy. Oh, you just walk round the field, see lambs play. But most farmers collapse with exhaustion at the end of each grueling day. You? A tiny cluster of houses and a church with a tower so tall stand at the head of what surely must be the most beautiful dale of them all. Nothing seems to happen here as the years go rolling by. But don't be deceived by the quiet. Oh, there's more here than meets the eye. Britain in bloom caused a panic. Elizabeth Thompson was frequently found kneeling down with a bucket pulling the weeds from the ground. Dinah dashed hither and thither. Chew Fair rushed off her feet. In fact, you were all of a dither trying to keep the place neat. Out came hanging baskets. They were a pretty sight. And every blade of grass was mown, morning, noon, and night. Everybody tidied up. No litter could be seen. And woe betide any dog that did a whoopsie on the green. The landlord of our local, a most hard-working man. Dashes about from dawn till dusk, doing all he can. He's a great one for the birds, you know, which he keeps behind the crown. We made such a fuss of the female bees, it got the gander down. In fact, his bags were not be wet. He left John in a stew. He badly wanted some fertile eggs and he didn't know what to do. Now the gander loved his freedom, he thought. This is the life, as he waddled off to Lofthouse to find himself a wife. Several times he was sighted, but John's frustrations grew. Every time he neared that bird, up and off it flew. Now Eugene was propping up the bar when he heard of John's dilemma. And he thought, well, I'll soon catch that bird with a little help from Emma. He tried quite unsuccessfully to end that gander spree. And he went to Pateley for some tips off that tracker man McGee. Now he learned the art of stalking so that he would not be seen. And he finally caught that wily bird dozing by a stream. John was so delighted to have his gander home that now he spoils it something rotten so it nevermore will roam. Stuart and Barbara flitted. Well, Dover House is more their style. I mean, Northside Head had lovely views, but the lane stretched for a mile. Now it was all right in summer when they could ride about, but when the snows of winter came, ooh, it wore poor Stuart out. It's very sad to know when you start growing old and all your bones are aching and you can't stand the cold. Digging out that lane Stuart found was really hard. But Barbara couldn't get to work with a car stuck in the yard. British Telecom have a worker who has shown them such devotion. Fiddling about with wires and things is being rewarded with promotion. So if you're having trouble and your telephone won't ring, just might be John O'Connor tinkling with your ding-a-ling. Now John's a very sporty man. He joins in all the games he can. But golf is his favourite. Oh, he just can't get enough. Although he gets a little peeved when his balls end in the rough. He practices for hours on end, which drives poor Marge around the bend. She'll be glad when he's past his prime and she can make him toe the line. And then perhaps he'll take her out instead of knocking silly balls about. Actually, when Marge passed her driving test, she was filled with fear. Eee! How can I get round all those bends as well as change me gear? However, 4 years later, how her confidence has grown. Well, she can get as far as Paisley Bridge driving on her own. John and Hilda had a visitor from a far-off land. He arrived upon their doorstep with a suitcase in his hand. He'd a turban on his head and a rather cheeky grin. He said he'd show his goods to them if they just let him in. Well, Hilda nearly had a fit. She didn't think it funny. She told him quite crossly that she hadn't any money. But the fellow was persistent. He wanted them to buy. And he brought out lots of socks and shirts and an awfully gaudy tie. John saw Hilda brewing up, and he thought that she might blow. And he racked his brains for something to make that fella go. Just then he saw a sweater sitting in the case, and he thought that it might suit him well, and a smile came to his face. He tried it on, and though Hilda frowned, he thought it looked quite nice. And if he got rid of that Indian guy, well, it was cheap at half the price. The landlord of our local... Oh, I've said that. I knew we were in it somewhere. Once a year near Christmas, there's a very special date when all the tenants wine and dine with turkey on their plate. After the meal, they all retire to spend an hour or two enjoying themselves and doing things that they don't normally do. First, Morris sings them Danny Boy and a lump comes to the throat. Then John Graham cheers them up again with Paddy McGinty's good. Oh, the hinges, they are rusty as Tom Whitfield's favourite song. And now his face fair lights up when the lads all sing along. Jack Chalice plays the banjo. George Formby's more his style. And John Harker's famous Blackbird song is sure to make them smile. Then Alan pipes up with cheeks all rosy. Down the road I'll walk and there stands Josie. When the singing's ended, they all sit down for a chat and have another drink or two discussing this and that. Then John O'Connor makes a statement which is really quite profound. Marge's Yorkshire puddings are the best for miles around. John Carver now can't serve any more. The pumps have all gone dry. And he says that he must close the bar and wave them all goodbye. Jock set off to walk home in his welly coat. And he ended up at the back of the Crown with a clothesline round his throat. Well, he hadn't seen it hanging there in the dead of night. And he thought someone had grabbed him. Oh, we had to know. So you see, life isn't boring, though our village may be small. And now I better end my tale and say good night to one and all.
And now we transport you to the South Seas and for a song, Honey Bun.
My girl is as dainty as a sparrow. Her figure is something to applaud. Where she's narrow as an arrow. And she's broad, where a broad should be broad. 101 pounds of fun. That's my little honey bun. Can't load a honey bun tonight. I'm speaking of my sweetie pie, only 60 inches high. Every inch is packed with dynamite. Her hair is blonde and curly, her curls are twirly, twirly. Her lips are hips, I call her hips, twirly and whirly. Oh, she's my baby, I'm a pet. She's my booby, I'm a trap. I am caught and I don't want to run because I'm having so much fun with Honey Bun. She's a
Brave, the last act of tonight, and they are going to lead us also into the finale, when you're going to see some of the people who've been taking part tonight. After the end of the finale, I'd like to tell you that there will be tea and mince pies available, so if you're able to stay, please do, and have a natter. And we hope you've enjoyed the show. Great, lovely. Right, well, you've heard of Benny Goodman's jazz band. You've heard of Louis Armstrong's jazz band. But I don't think, I'm not sure, but I doubt that you've heard of the St. Chad's Jazz Band.
Fish, fish.